Hello, good day, good morning. I'm going to wait a few more minutes for some more people to log on. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Hi, Favor. Good morning, good people. I like to be prompt and start on time. It's 10:01. I'm going to give it 2 minutes and then we're going to begin. Going to give it 2 minutes and then we're going to begin. We're going to be talking on today about psychological abuse. We're going to be talking about psychological abuse and some signs that a person is under psychological abuse. We're going to be talking about the abuser and we're going to be talking about the victim. Hey Favor. Hey Antoine. Good morning. As you guys come on, share the video. Share. We're going to generate some discussion about psychological abuse. I'm finding in my practice that it's really a hot topic for my clients. They come in and they are codependent because they have suffered from a spirit of rejection at an early age, and now they are suffering as well from psychological abuse. So come on in the room. Come on in the room. We got about 1 minute and then we're going to begin. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. All right, so good morning again and welcome to Dr. M's Table. I am Dr. Miranda Pearson and I am a psychotherapist. I am an inner healing and deliverance counselor. I have a private practice in Benson, North Carolina, and slated to open up another one in a county near you. I'm excited to be with you on this Monday morning. Anyone who knows me and is a close friend of mine knows that I absolutely love Mondays. Love Mondays. And so I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, praying and seeking the Lord. Today started day number 1 of a 21-day fast, corporate fast that I'm doing with some people who want to get rid of the residue of their past and go into 2020 completely delivered. And so I'm excited on this morning and I am wide awake. And again, it's my favorite day of the week. It's Monday. So I'm going to say good morning to some people as you guys are coming on. Let me see who I see. I see Angela Brittenham. Good morning, ma'am. I see my good friend Shavonda Chance. Good morning, ma'am. How are you ladies doing? I pray that your weekend was absolutely spectacular. You guys have to forgive my nasal voice. Got some sinus stuff going on. I've been talking all weekend, but it's been absolutely awesome. I wouldn't trade a thing. Absolutely love doing what I do. And that is assisting the Holy Spirit in setting captives free, or assisting people in recognizing what plagues them and leading them into a place of deliverance. So I absolutely love it. Last night we had a wonderful time at Impact Church Goldsboro where we did our deliverance table. Woohoo! And we talked about some things that were very, very pressing. And I believe that captives were set free on last night and it was absolutely great. All right, so we're going to get started. Again, I'm Dr. Miranda, and as a deliverance counselor, I find myself having to minister to those people who have been under the influence of what's called controlling spirits. So I find myself having to minister to those people and counsel those people who have been under what I call controlling spirits. And so we often think when we talk about things like psychological abuse that it primarily has to come from a partner or like a spouse or a boyfriend, but it doesn't. You can experience psychological abuse from your parents. You can experience psychological abuse from a boss, your supervisor on your job. You can experience psychological abuse from your children. Yes, you can. Your grown children. You can experience psychological abuse from your pastor. And so when I shared with you that I have an influx of people coming into my office with psychological abuse, some of them have experienced that from a leader or leadership. And that's unfortunate. But I wanted to highlight on today things to look for as it pertains to psychological abuse. And I wanted to talk a little bit about where that comes from. And so I believe, having been a counselor since 2007, that psychological abuse is allowed to become a stronghold when the person has suffered from a spirit of rejection. So we've all had some elements of rejection. We've all had some degrees of rejection. But when it becomes a spirit of rejection, that's something that you actually ruminate over. That's something that you can't get past, and you let it grip your heart. And then there's other spirits that come in and they kind of marry one another, like the spirit of bitterness, the spirit of rebellion. And then it takes hold, it takes root in your heart. And so most of the people that I've ministered to who suffer from psychological abuse or who have had controlling spirits in their life, they also suffer from a spirit of rejection. Okay, so what does that look like? That's self-rejection, or that's rejection from other people, or a fear of people rejecting you. So people often come in and they're ashamed that they've allowed themselves to be psychologically abused. And most of the time, the allowance comes in because you don't have a healthy sense of self-esteem. As well, you don't have what's called true identity. So those of us who are believers, we know that we find our true identity in Christ. And sometimes when you don't know who you are, especially in Christ, you begin to find your identity in people. You begin to find it in titles. You begin to find it in activities, groups, things. But when you don't have a healthy sense of who you are, it's easy for you to be controlled by other people. So it's easy for you to become a victim of psychological abuse. So people who have been the victims of psychological abuse need to then get free of spirits of what? Condemnation, insecurity, inferiority, and domination, which all stem from fear. Okay? They need to get free from that. So before a person can renounce those spirits, they first have to recognize what is controlling them. How are they being controlled? And I find that people, when they come in, they don't even know that they're being controlled because it's so subtle, right? It's so subtle. And it's needed. You know, I'm seeing your comments. Yes, ma'am. It is needed. It's needed in the body of Christ, especially because we don't talk about things like that. So when people experience psychological abuse, sometimes they don't even realize it, because as a child, they may have suffered from the spirit of rejection, and then they've suffered psychological abuse from adults as children, and they think that's normal. So now as an adult, when another adult tries to control you and they psychologically abuse you, you think that's love, and you think that's normal, and it's not. Okay? So the signs of psychological abuse can be both overt and covert, which means they're both obvious and they're both undercover. Psychological abuse can be anyone that you are in a relationship with. That's very important for you to know. It can be anyone that you are in a relationship with. Again, it could be a boss. It could be a lover or a loved one. It could be, of course, your spouse, lover, boyfriend, girlfriend. It could be your leader if you're in a church that dominates and controls. Okay, so I just want you to recognize what symptoms and signs of psychological abuse are, and I want you to be privy to the knowledge of that. One who is living with a spirit of rejection is easily abused psychologically and controlled. Okay, so psychological abusers, let's talk about them for a minute. These people seek to frighten, they seek to control, they want to isolate, they want to use words, and they want to use actions to make you feel like you're absolutely nothing. And they are relentless, and their actions and their words, they are very persistent. So they insist, they dominate, they keep up the appearance of you're small and they're large. You need them to survive, and that anything or everything that you do means absolutely nothing because you are nothing. Okay, so those abusers, they use intimidation, they use humiliation, they refuse to ever be pleased. They're pleased with nothing. There is nothing that you can do to please someone who psychologically abused you. Let me give you an example. If you're married to a man who is psychologically abusive, ladies, and he says to you, well, if you changed your hair, you'd look prettier, and you change your hair, he's still not satisfied. Well, if you had nails like so-and-so, then you would look better. So then you go out and you get your nails done. Still not satisfied. Well, if you lost weight, because you have gained weight over the years, and if you lost weight, then maybe I would pay attention to you, like you claim that I pay attention to so-and-so, but so-and-so, her waist is snatched, and you have gained weight over the years, so you go to the gym. They're still not satisfied. Well, I would pay you more attention if you weren't always at church. So then you cut back on your church activities. Well, if you weren't always at the church, then you and I can do some things together. So you quit the church and you start spending time with them. They're never satisfied. So those people who are psychologically abusers are never satisfied, no matter how much you do for them, no matter how much you do to get them to love you, no matter how much you do to get them to be pleased by your appearance, by your actions, by your words. They're never pleased and they'll never be satisfied. They use aggression. They deny things like their affection. They deny money. They deny support. They minimize what you do. Okay? They want to seek to make you feel very, very small. They withhold their affection. They withhold attention. Like I said, money. Do you know that you can be in a marriage and be married to someone who is psychologically abusive when it comes to money? So for instance, if you was working and your husband was working, but you're the one, I'm sorry to keep picking on women and men, and I'm saying that the man is the abuser, because you can certainly have a woman who is the psychologically abuser. You can have a woman who psychologically abuses her husband, but I'm using a woman as an example because I am a woman, so it's easier for me to say that. However, what I was saying is, if you have a husband and you're the wife and you work and he works, however, he wants you to make sure it's your check that pays all of the bills. So you're working, you're paying the bills, you're taking care of the children. He does absolutely nothing as it pertains financially. He doesn't pay for anything. He doesn't contribute to the household bills, but he's steady telling you, you need to work, you need to do this. Then you go out and get another job. He's still not helping. You can be in a marriage that's psychologically and financially abusive. It's not good and it's not right. Okay? So, where was I? Okay. Aggression, denial, minimizing. This person withholds affection, attention, finances. They refuse to communicate. Listen, if you are married to someone or you're dating someone and they go weeks, days, months without speaking to you, without talking to you, not only is that a Jezebelic spirit, it's so demonic. And it's psychologically abuse. It's psychological abuse. Listen, the Bible says clearly, if you have an ought with your brother, meaning brother and or sister, then you should go to them. And especially if you're two believers, you all should have a conversation. So if you're a married couple and you are in Jesus and you are believers, but you're married to a man or a woman who withholds conversation for days, for weeks, for months, that's psychological abuse, beloved. Yeah, you're being psychologically abused. So they refuse to communicate. They withhold emotions. You go to touch them, you go to hug them, and they pull away, or they push you away, or they don't want to have anything to do with you. They always come up with an excuse as to why they don't want to. In a married couple, in a marriage, why we don't want to have sex? Because, I'm just not feeling you. I'm just not it is abusive. Okay? Psychological abuse. And when they use the attention, the lack of attention, the lack of sex, the lack of intimacy, it is used as a form of punishment. It's psychological abuse. Now, I know we don't want to hear that, right? Because we also know that God hates divorce. He hates divorce. We know that. That's what the word says. But I sincerely doubt that God would want you to remain in a relationship where someone belittles you, they talk down on you, they oppress you. Because of the oppression, you're now depressed. They withdraw or withhold affection from you. They don't contribute to the conversation, to the marriage. That's psychological abuse. And that's a hardness of heart. And as a therapist, to me, that's grounds for, hey, I can't do this anymore. I deserve better. When a person realizes that they deserve better, that God created them to be better, that God created them to have better, then they will seek to do better. Okay? But you have to recognize that you're actually being in this position. And that's why we're talking about it on today. Okay? So, when a person is being psychologically abused, their self-concept and their independence are stripped away. So you're no longer independent. You don't think for yourself. You are dependent on the person who is abusing you to tell you how to think, how to act, what you should do. That's not healthy, and it's definitely not God. Okay? What are the characteristics or traits of those people who are psychological abusers? These people suffer mostly from what's called personality disorders. We talked a couple of weeks ago about being narcissistic. I told you that from age 0 to 12, children are usually narcissistic because from age 0 to 12, it's all about them. So when you encounter someone who is a psychological abuser, they are usually very narcissistic. It's all about them. They do not care about you. They do not care about your feelings. They do not consider you. And chronic narcissism is considered a personality disorder. Yeah. So they suffer from personality disorders. They have borderline personality disorders. They narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder. They don't really like people. They don't like people. They don't like you liking people, and they want to isolate you from everybody who loves you and appreciates you and who celebrates you. They don't want you to be with other people. Okay. This is good stuff, right? All right. There are four categories of psychological abuse. Okay, so let's talk about that. 4 categories of psychological abuse. Listen, if you have questions while I'm talking, type them on the screen. I'll go back at the end to answer the questions. If you have comments, please type them on the screen. I'm actually watching. I have 2 devices going, so I'm watching. And so go ahead and type your stuff on the screen. I have notes here on my computer. I have notes written down. So we're just going to dialogue a little bit, okay? 4 categories of psychological abuse. The first category is humiliation. So in the category of humiliation, the abuser seeks to undermine your self-esteem, okay? The abuse is unrelenting. They always want to attack your self-esteem, make you feel horrible about yourself, tell you every time that you eat a cookie how fat you are, tell you every time you wear something and you think you're cute how ugly you are, tell you how your hair looks, tell you how your nose looks, tell you that your body is not well proportioned. They always want to seek to humiliate you and to undermine your self-esteem, make you feel worse about yourself than you already do. And sometimes when you are involved with a person who is a psychological abuser, 9 times out of 10, you have told them how you grew up. You told them how you were in your childhood. You've told them your innermost secrets about how you feel about you. And so what they do is they use what you've told them against you later on to hold you captive and to hold you hostage in your emotions. Okay? So they always want to undermine your self-esteem. The abuse is unrelenting. They're mean, they're critical, and they always seek to make you feel very small. Now, this is a shame. In my office, when I see this being done to children, parents do this, okay? Nothing that the child does is ever good enough. They tell them that they're ugly. You look just like your daddy. I can't stand you. You act just like your daddy. When you hear a woman say that to their child, there's a relationship that went sour between the woman and the man, and now they hate the child because the child reminds them that they no longer are with the man or that they have to see the man, okay? So they are relentless in letting this child know that their self-esteem has to be here. So they talk about them, they highlight their shortcomings, they make them feel very, very, very small. All right, that's the first category, humiliation. Second category is shame. And we're going to go back and I'm going to give you examples, but I want to just get the categories out there, okay? Second category is shame. In this category, the abuser seeks to control the victim by highlighting and pointing out the shortcomings. Now, in the first one, they want to humiliate you by showing you how you're not as far as your body is concerned. Your hair, your nails, your nose, the way you dance or you do things, but your shortcomings. So in this particular category, the shame category, they want to point out how inadequate you are in certain categories. Like, for example, if you didn't finish school, okay? Well, that's why you don't have a degree. You're not as smart as so-and-so. That's why you can't get that job. I find in my profession, again, this number 2, shame category, husbands and wives do this to one another when one or the other is the psychological abuser. They'll tell the husband, you're nothing. I can't believe in all these years we've been together and you've only had one job. You don't aspire to do anything else. I don't want to live in this same house, but we can't get another house because you won't go out and you won't do this and you won't do that. Shame. So they point out their shortcomings and their inadequacies, and they tell them things. And you know what they're doing? Actually, this is what I've discovered. They're really telling the person how they feel about themselves. Yeah, it's called transference. That's what we call it in psychology, okay? So what you actually do is transfer the feelings that you feel about yourself onto your victim or onto the other person. Sometimes when people come into my office and they need some very strong deliverance, they transfer. They tried it. But I'm a pro. But they try to transfer how they feel about themselves even onto me. Yeah, that demon is strong. It's called the spirit of transference, right? So the person tries to transfer actually how they feel about themselves onto the victim. All right, that's shame. Third category is accusation. Okay, so we know that the enemy, for those of us who are believers, the enemy is the accuser of the brethren, right? So psychological abusers use accusation. Now, the abuser is insecure, so they seek to create a ranking system, okay? They seek to create a ranking system or a hierarchy where the victim is always on the bottom, always last, or always on the bottom. Isn't that just like the devil? He wants to remind God that he was there first. And then he wants to remind God of all your issues, shortcomings, how you can't do it as well as him. That's the enemy, right? So when there's accusation there, the abuser, the insecurity that they feel about themselves, they actually put it on you, of the victim, and then seek to rank the victim and make sure always that the abuser is on top and the victim is on the low end of the pole. So it's actually, if you get in your mind a cartoon, it's like somebody has their foot on your neck. Yeah. So instead of you standing upright and you're being confident in who you are, the abuser always has his thumb on your head or his foot on your neck, making sure you realize where you really rank. Okay? That's number 3. Humiliation, shame, accusation. The fourth category is isolation. Okay? This is isolation. Isolation. The abuser neglects the victim's emotional needs and always puts themselves as number 1 in the emotions queue. Okay? So, no matter how you slice or dice it, you can come home and you can say, I'm feeling, this. Well, I don't know why you're feeling that, because you don't ever soothe me, or you're not there for me when I feel a certain way. So why do they always want to make sure that their emotions are in the queue over your emotions, right? That's narcissism number 1. Their number 1 MO is to isolate you from friends and from family and make you feel totally dependent upon them. You know that you're married or you're involved with somebody who is psychologically abusive when they get angry when you spend time with other people. They always want you with them. Always. You can't have other friends. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. They always want to make sure that you are right there with them. And if you do happen to have a friend or you happen to go places, they always go with you. Psychological abuse. Let me just have lunch with my girlfriend for about 5 hours without you. Okay. Because you know what? The abuser wants to know what you're talking about. What did you say? What did you do? And then this is what I get in my practice when women come in and they've been psychologically abused. Their husband wants to know what we talked about. And they'll talk so bad, not only about me, but about counseling, that it almost makes the woman feel scared to even go through with it. And if she finally gets up enough courage to come to counseling, he badgers. What did she say? What did she talk about? What did she tell you to do? Or I found even a woman was trying to record our session. She had it on speakerphone because she wanted her husband to hear what I had to say, which is fine. Because here's what I do when it's the case of marriage. Because there's always 3 sides to a marriage. There's his side, there's her side, and then there's the truth. I don't like for people to come in and they say, I need marriage counseling, and they come in without their spouse. That's not marriage counseling. That's individual counseling. So what I do is, hey, I really need you to invite your spouse into the session and let's talk. Because you want to get that spouse's opinion too. And 9 times out of 10, the reason why a spouse, whether it's the girl, the woman, or the man, doesn't want to come in is because they already know that they're psychologically abusive. And they know if the counselor can get the victim to see that they have value, that they have purpose, that they have an assignment, oh my God, then the abuser is in trouble. Because the victim actually will begin to see that the abuser is not this huge entity that is God. They're really very small and they're minuscule. And they will begin to know what their power is. And then they'll discover what they wanted and needed in their brokenness. They don't want to need while they're healed. Yeah. So the abuser doesn't want that. All right. So I want to go back. Okay. I want to go back and give you examples. I know I talked about humiliation, shame, accusation, and isolation. So let's go back and look at some examples, because even in me saying that, there are some people out there that are saying, well, gosh, I don't know if I'm in that type of relationship or not because I can't tell. All right, so let's talk about it. The first category is humiliation, okay? These are some examples of a person who is an abuser who humiliates the victim. They name call. They're very blatant with their name call. And I'm not saying, it's like pet names. Like, you're not babe, boo. You are loser, fat. You are dumb A. You are cow. You are a demon from hell. I don't know, just bad names, very blatant names. They name call. And they don't do this in the heat of the moment. Because, sometimes when you're having what my husband and I call heated fellowship, you may say some things that you have to go back and repent for and ask for forgiveness. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about a person who, when you get up in the morning, your name is fat ass. Yeah, sorry for those of you who are very religious. But that's blatant name calling, humiliation, especially if the woman is rather large and she does have issues with, her size. That's name calling. Names that's too awful to repeat. I've seen women come in with their children, especially boys, and they call them dumbasses. That's their name. That's their nickname. Or they'll say, I don't want to drop that, but they'll drop the F-bomb and they'll put on the end of it ups. So you're an F-bomb up. Blatant, bad, sometimes too bad to repeat humiliation. That's also derogatory, pet names. Like, you're my little cow. You're my little porker. You're talking about them being a pig. Oh, this is one. Character assassination. You know that you are involved with someone who is a psychological abuser when they want to assassinate your character. Now let's talk about friends, okay? Friends or supervisors or people that you work with. They want to assassinate your character, which means they always have something to say about who you are as a person. I wouldn't, especially when you have to compete for a job, not compete, but let's say you're in sales. So you're to have a sales job, you have to sell. And I've seen women, especially at the belt counter, like beat each other up to try to get my business. I was talking to this lady and she's like, no, but come over here. And we have it's cutthroat, right? And so they try to assassinate your character. Okay, they yell a lot, they scream a lot, they cuss a lot, which is meant to be intimidating. Okay, the yelling, the screaming, the cussing, or they'll patronize you. Yes, little sweetie, I know that you're slow. Yes, little sweetie, I know that you grew up very poor and your mama and daddy were raised in a barn. Yes, I know that you're dumb. Oh, yes, I know that you're just a biscuit. These are things that they say to humiliate you, right? Public embarrassment, they love that. They love to see you embarrassed in public because they can capitalize on that embarrassment when you get behind closed doors. Okay? Public embarrassment, which means they pick fights or they expose your secret in front of people. They make fun of your shortcomings in public. They'll say something like, I've watched a man tell his wife in public, you're too fat to sit there. You shouldn't sit on that bench. You might not want to sit on that chair because you might end up on the floor. Do you all remember the movie, Why Did I Get Married? I think it was the number 2. Why Did I Get Married 2? And when the husband didn't take up for the wife when she had to get off the plane because she was too large, or maybe that was number 1. I don't know. Whichever movie it was, he didn't take up for her. She had to get off the plane because she was too large to put the seatbelt on, and he made fun of her in front of everybody on the plane, especially in front of his mistress. Yeah, that's psychological abuse. The jokes aren't funny when the jokes are you're the butt of the joke. That's psychological abuse. Sarcasm, dismissing you, dismissing what you say, dismissing your smartness or dismissing your opinion, dismissing what you have to say as it pertains to like the children. Like if you tell your children something, but then the psychological abuser will come back and say, don't listen to that fool. You can do X, Y, Z because I'm letting you know I'm running things. You know what? And I know some of you are like, do people really do that? Yes, beloved. Yes, beloved. They really do that. They really humiliate the victim like that. And it's sad. It is so sad, but it happens. They belittle your accomplishments. Your abuser might tell you that your achievements don't mean anything and any dummy could have gotten a degree. Do you know I've heard that? Husband and wives come into my office and the wife or the husband will belittle the wife for advancing or bettering herself. And he'll say stuff like, well, there's lots of dumb people who go to college. Somebody told me that. It wasn't a friend. It was a family member who said to me, I guess trying to humiliate me, but that didn't work. Because I have a healthy dose of self-esteem. And I don't suffer from the spirit of rejection any longer. But they said, any dummy can get a degree. I mean, there's lots of dumb people who went to college and have degrees. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, as you have no degree, cero, is that what it is in Spanish? No degree. And honey, the PhD will kick anybody's behind, okay? Earned. Not a piece of paper that I generated on the computer. Earned. So anyone who went through that process will let you know, no, you ain't a dummy. You can't be dumb going through that. So that didn't hurt my feelings. But what it did was let me know where that person was, not only about themselves, but how they really feel about me. Isn't that something? Oh, yes. You will find out about your psychological abusers, how they really feel about you. This venom that they spew. This is who they were all along. And because you were so broken, you didn't even see that. So now that you're broken and in it, you think you deserve it. You think that's love. You think that's how it should be because you really don't deserve. I mean, where else am I going to go? Who's going to want me? Who's going to want this dumb, fat, broken down piece of a person? Yeah, psychological abuse. Yes, ma'am. Somebody said that's why they have the TV show called Snap. Indeed. So we're still on humiliation. They put down your interest. So like if you are interested in, saving children, make sure that no child goes to this sex trafficking thing that's going on now. Well, I mean, how are you going to do that? You don't even have children. How are you going to be an advocate for children? You don't even know what it's like to raise children. You've never birthed a child. Do you know that there's psychological abuse from other women to women who can't give birth to children? Do you know that women who are able to birth children with no problem can be psychologically abusive to women who are infertile? Yeah. Psychological abuse is a beast. And the enemy is running roughshod, even in the kingdom, with people who allow him to operate through them with psychological abuse. All right, I have to go quickly. My time is running. All right. So put down your interest, pushing your buttons. When you are involved with someone who is psychologically abusive, their whole agenda as it pertains to you is to push your buttons. They want to see you lose it. You know what? When you are Holy Ghost filled and you are involved with somebody who is psychologically abusive, you begin to think, oh my God, this is the devil. Like you can see it rise up and try to goad you and try to make you out of character. And listen, this is the number one thing that men who don't like the fact that their wives are saved for real, First of all, they don't like the fact that they're saved for real because they know that they see them spiritually. They have a seer's eye. They know who they are. But the number one thing that they'll say is, you ain't saved. You ain't really saved. When they push your button and you go there as a human, yeah. So let's say you slip up and you just cuss them out. And the number one thing that they'll say is, oh, I thought you were saved. Oh, ain't you supposed to be a prophet? Ain't you supposed to be saved? You ain't really no Christian. No Christians talk like that. You don't love the Lord. The Lord don't love you. You a fake Christian. That happens, beloved. It's called psychological abuse. All right. Second category, shame. Okay? Shame. Here's some examples of shame. They threaten you, telling you that they'll take the kids and they'll disappear. They'll make you feel ashamed. So like, nobody else will want you. Nobody else. Go ahead, leave. You can leave. Don't nobody want you. Nobody's going to want you. But guess what? You walk out that door, you won't see your kids again. Threaten you. Shame you into staying with them. Because number one, who's going to want me? And then number two, I ain't leaving without my kids. Are you serious? So you've tormented me. Now you're going to torment me and my children? Threats. Okay? Control, shame. They want to point out your inadequacies. They digital spy. Listen, husband and wives, some of them who have come to me, they've put little devices, what do you call them? Little apps on each other's phone to spy on each other. Now, I do know that we have, I don't know, it's like a family, I don't even know what to call it. That's how ignorant I am when it comes to electronics. But I know if my son lost his phone. We can find it, okay? These people put little apps like that on their spouse's phone to see where they are. Like, like you go straight to where they are. You know, there's one particular couple that I counseled years ago. The man actually wrote down the woman's odometer meter because he would say, you didn't really go to work. Where else did you go? Who was in this seat? Who pulled this seat up? Why is there food over here? I mean, relentless. When you're dealing with someone who is psychologically abusive, they are relentless. They won't let up. It's like a dog with a bone. If you ever saw a dog who bit someone and they got that, it's like lockjaw. That's how a psychological abuser is. They will not let up until they break you. And when they see you broken, they love it. And they'll step on you and they'll break you even the more. Because really, beloved, it's really about them and their self-esteem. Okay? So they monitor your whereabouts. Digital spying. They make all the decisions. Bank accounts, where you gonna live, where you gonna work, how many children y'all gonna have. They make all the decisions. If you are lucky enough to go to church, they'll tell you how long you can stay. You can't stay a whole hour or 2 hours. If you stay 2 hours, it's too long. If you have a meeting at 6 o'clock, you better be home by 7:30. You better be home. And if you're not home, there's going to be trouble when you get home. Yeah, psychological abuse. It happens. Financial control. They lecture you like you're a child. They tell you this happens often in the workplace. Your boss. This happened to me. I had a boss who was a bull, and they were very loud and boisterous and yelling. And one time they were yelling my name and I just kept walking. And then later on they were like, I know you heard me say, XYZ to you. And I said, and when you can talk to me as an adult, to an adult, then we can have a conversation. Otherwise, I'm not one of your students. Yeah. You have to rise back up as somebody who is psychologically abusive because they've been doing it for so long. It's a part of their makeup and their personality, and they now think they can do it to everybody. No, you have the wrong one, boo-boo, not me. Okay? They give you direct orders, like get to the dinner table right now. What? Come through the door. If the man is the abuser, where's my food? Okay, and then the woman, hold on, let me get your food. Put the food down, and he beats the table and talks to her any kind of way. Psychological abuse. Outburst, like tantrums, yelling and screaming and cussing, treating you like a child. Helplessness. I can't do it without you. And sometimes they'll flip on you. So like if the woman says, I'm leaving, I just cannot do this anymore. I can't live like this anymore. I'm absolutely going to leave. She has a plan. She knows what she's going to do with her children. She's talked to a few trusted people who are going to help her with the escape. And then he gets wind of it. I can't live without you. You know I can't live without you. And if you walk out that door, I'm gonna kill myself. And if you walk out that door, nobody else is gonna have you. If I can't have you, nobody else will. I'm gonna kill me, and I'm gonna kill you, and I'm gonna kill the children. Psychological abuse. It happens. It happens. They walk out while you're talking to them. You're having a conversation. They walk out. They walk out of a social situation. You could be somewhere at a party and, you look around nervous because you don't know what type of mood they're going to be in or what they're going to say. And then they'll come up, I'm ready to go. And then you're like, well, we just got here. Let's go now. And if you don't get up and go, they gone. We'll leave you at the party. And then berate you, in some cases beat you when you get home because you didn't get up and go when they said it's time to go. Yeah. Using other people to say that you're crazy. So hypothetically, let's say that the psychological abuser was having an affair. So with a friend. So that friend that you've confided in will also tell you, well, you do sound a little crazy. Well, it does sound a little far-fetched with you. So now he's gotten in her head and they've teamed up together and now they're both psychologically abusing you. Yeah, that happens. All right. Third category, accusation, okay? This is where there's a lot of blaming, there's a lot of denial, there's a lot of jealousy. I know you cheating on me. Who are you cheating on me with? Who are you talking to? Where you going with the outfit on? Who was there? Who looked at you? Why you wearing jeans like that? Accusation. When a person does all of that, 9 times out of 10, they're the one that's cheating. Yep. So again, that transference, they're transferring what they do, their actions onto you. Who was there? Who talked to you? I was thinking, I'm laughing to myself about this because it happens so often. This weekend is my 30th class reunion. And so my plans are to go to Virginia for a day. Going to Virginia for one day and attending my reunion. And my husband and my son can't go because my son has a game. Well, my husband said, go. He said, why are you just going for one day? You might want to just go for the weekend. Enjoy yourself. Have a good time. Now, if he was a psychological abuser, oh my God, why are you going? Who are you going with? Who you staying with? Who you talk to? Who was there? That would be bad for me. And I'm not making light of people who suffer it, beloved, because it is prevalent. It is. It's bad when you have to be with someone who's always jealous of everything that you do. And not just with other people, but your accomplishments. So they might be jealous that you have a degree and they don't. They might be jealous that you have a good job and they don't. They might be jealous. There's a lot of that going on. Just jealousy. Okay? Turning the tables. Again, that's transference. The rage and the control issues, they're saying that you made them do that. You make me do this to you. You make me beat you. You make me mean to you. You make me cuss at you. Turning the tables. Denying something that's true. So let's just say that you caught the person in the act. You have a text message. You have hotel receipts. You have phone messages. And you have a picture of the car that was in the parking lot. And you say, I know that you were in room 207, and I know that on this day you had this woman in there and you cheated. And they will still say, that wasn't me. Psychological abuse. Wasn't me. I'm denying that it's true. And this is also called gaslighting. Okay? For you psychology majors, psychology lovers out there, you psychology buffs. Gaslighting. It means that the abuser will deny that an argument or an agreement took place, or they'll deny that anything was said or done, and they will say it's not true. And it makes you question your own memory. It makes you question your own sanity. It makes you question that, am I even real? What just happened? You begin to wonder, did I really see that? Did I really hear that? Did that really happen? No, he didn't really do that. You begin to believe that fool. It's called gaslighting. Okay? Using guilt. You owe me. You owe me. I was there when nobody else was there. I gave you money, or I did so and so. Guilt. They goad you or they blame you. They know how to upset you, and so they blame you for stuff. Like, let's hypothetically say something happened to one of the children. You're a bad mother. They got hurt because you weren't there. Why weren't you there? Why didn't you do so and so? Why are you always out of place? So they goad you, they blame you, they deny their abuse. When you say, listen, I feel like I'm being abused by you. You're abusing me. No, ain't nobody abusing you. I'm just giving you what you deserve. You're getting exactly what you deserve. You're the one that has anger issues. You're the one that's out of control. I'm the victim here. I have to live with you. Yeah. And they trivialize everything. When you say, what you say to me hurts me. How you're treating me, especially on a job. If you're telling your boss, you're telling your supervisor, I don't really like the way that you're talking to me. I don't appreciate the way that you handle me in front of the other employees. I don't appreciate the way that you talk down to me. And they'll say stuff like, you're just taking it out of proportion. You're blowing it way out of proportion. I found that people who are sexual harassers also do that. They're on the job. So sexual harassment doesn't necessarily mean that someone touched you or even like said a really bad, dirty joke, but they make the environment uncomfortable. That's harassment. And they have sexual overtones to what they say. I wonder if all girls have fun in skirts. Okay? And that makes you feel uncomfortable. That's sexual harassment. So when you say something to them, they'll trivialize it and say, well, that's not what I meant at all. And you take everything so seriously. Man, can't nobody joke with you? Can't nobody say anything to you? Trivialize, okay? Saying that you have no sense of humor. They blame you for their problems. These are people who are shaming you. They blame you for their problems. They destroy and they deny, okay? Let's talk about the next category. This is isolation, okay? This person, they demand respect. So when I told you earlier that when an abuser puts you in a situation where you are isolated, they don't want you to be around your family, they don't want you to be around your friends, they don't want you to be around anyone who used to know you before you got with them, and they want you all to themselves. So they demand respect, and they say, if you don't do what I tell you to do, like for instance, let's hypothetically say you got married and you moved from another town. They never want you to go back to that town. You can't go back. You can't do the things that you used to do. You can't talk to your family and friends there. They will isolate you. And then they'll say you have to ask permission. And when you don't ask permission to go back, then you are disrespecting their manhood or their womanhood. You're disrespecting who they are in the relationship. And they will not tolerate the disrespect that you put out toward them. Yeah, that happens. So they demand respect by any means necessary, and it's only a one-way street. So they demand respect from you, but they do not give respect to you. Okay? It's only a one-way street. They shut down all communication. So you can't even talk to people you used to go to school with. You can't go back to the reunions. You can't go to the college campus because, oh God, can't go back to the college campus because that's where the college boyfriend was. They shut it down. If you were in a sorority or fraternity, you can't talk to your sorors anymore. You can't talk. Even if you're not active, you still can't talk to people that you used to know. Okay? That you used to know. They dehumanize you. Okay? They don't even acknowledge the fact that you're there. So like, for instance, if another woman was in like the triangle, if you were talking to someone and they were talking, and if you were talking to someone and they walked up, they will totally ignore you, act like you were the plant in the wall, and they will talk to the other woman. They will humanize her. They will be emotional with her. They will show her affection and attention, and they will totally isolate and ignore you on purpose. Make you feel like a piece of dung on the bottom of their shoe. Dehumanize you, okay? Keep you from socializing. They don't want you to socialize with other people. They come between you and your family. They do not want you talking to your family. They do, you know why? Because 9 times out of 10, your family told you before you married them. If I was you, I wouldn't marry that fool. Nope, don't do it. Because he's too possessive. Has anybody's mom ever told them that when they dated a guy? Yeah, don't marry that fool. He too possessive. He don't want you talking to nobody. That ain't love, boo-boo. Yeah, all right? Trying to come between you and your family. Don't want you to go to any family functions. When it's Thanksgiving, no. We're going to start our own tradition. When it's Christmas, no, can't go there. So you end up spending months and years even, not even having a relationship with your own family because the person who is psychologically abusing you has told you that he or she is your family now, and you don't have any business talking to people that you used to talk to in your past, and that includes your family. Psychological abuse. All right, they tune you out. Again, they withhold affection. They don't want sex from you. They don't want to hold your hand. They don't want to pat you on the shoulder. They don't even want to hug you. They don't even want to touch you. When they look at you, they look like you repulsed them, like you disgust them, like you're nothing. Okay? That's isolation. That's the 4th category. They tune you out. And they actively work to turn others against you. Again, I see this in husband and wives, in relationships. The one who is being psychologically abusive will seek to turn the children against the one that's the victim. Yeah. And so even the children now grow up abusing the victim because they've seen the mom or the dad do that. So they feel like that's okay. And then they usually grow up to be an abuser or they grow up to be abused. Yeah. They're indifferent. They see you hurt or they see you crying. They don't care. They could care less. But here's what they do, which is what makes them diabolical. Not only are they psychologically abusive, they're diabolical. So they'll ignore you, right? They'll ignore you. They see you hurt. They see you crying. But when people are around, oh my God, you're the best thing. They will pull you close. They will act like they like you. That's psychological abuse. They don't talk to you in the car. And sometimes we find this in marriages, especially in the church. You don't even talk in the car on the way to church. You don't talk in the car. You don't talk at home. When you get in church, oh, you beside each other and you're shouting together and you holding hands and looking at each other all lovingly and people talking and you talk. And then as soon as you get in the car, silence. Nothing. And then the abuser may say, I saw you looking at so-and-so, or I saw you talking to so-and-so. Crazy. Psychological abuse. Okay? They dispute your feelings. Whatever you feel, they'll say, nothing's wrong with you. If you say, I don't feel good, I've had a headache, or if you say, my blood pressure's up, oh, ain't nothing wrong with you. You need to go to work. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with you. You don't even, nobody cares. Psychological abuse. Okay. All right. We've got about 2 minutes. Listen, when you are the victim, you are now codependent. Again, if you suffer from the spirit of rejection, you now feel as though you are dependent upon this person. There's nowhere you can go. There's no one who would want you. And why should I leave? Because at least this attention is better than no attention at all. So you might be codependent if you are unhappy in the relationship, but you fear alternatives. If you constantly and consistently neglect your needs for other people, you neglect your need. There's nothing sadder to me than a person who has been in a loveless marriage for years and die having not experiencing any joy, any happiness, any peace. There is nothing sadder to me than that. Having been in a loveless marriage for years and then die, and the abuser lives. And I know, okay, as a believer, I know that God, he wants everybody to be saved. He wants everybody to go to heaven. He doesn't want anyone to perish. And usually the victim is a believer. They love the Lord, and so I know where they are, where they're going to be, where they're going to end up. But the abuser has abused this person for years and still is allowed to be here. That really gets to me. Okay. So you may be codependent if you ditch friends, and you sideline your family to please your partner, you may be codependent. If you always seek out your partner's approval, if you critique other people through your partner's eyes, if you would rather live in a state of chaos than be in peace, you might be codependent. If you feel guilty for standing up for yourself, you might be codependent. If you always bite your tongue and you repress your feelings for that of peace, you may be codependent. If you feel responsible and you take the blame for something that your abuser did, you may be codependent. If you think you deserve to be treated like this, you are very, very, very much codependent. If you believe that nobody else would want you, you're codependent. If you change the guilty behavior and you say, well, I really can't live without this person. There are some good things that came out of this relationship, like my children. I may as well stay. You're probably codependent. Okay? So, beloved, we've been on for a whole hour. I want to go back and see if you have any comments or questions. Let me go back and do that. Comments or questions. This has been real good. If it's been good to you, give me some hearts. I think sometimes when we encounter people or seen situations of psychological abuse, they don't even know they're being abused because they suffer from the spirit of rejection as a child, and this is what they're used to. This is their norm. All right, let's see. Yes, it's worse than physical abuse. You're absolutely correct, Angela Brittenham. Psychological abuse is worse than being physically abused because it makes you feel so small and you have no identity. And guess what? When you have been psychologically abused for years, man, you talking about anxiety, depression, severe depression, clinical. There's so many layers that a deliverance counselor has to break through when a person has been psychologically abused. It's so many layers to that. All right, let's see. Yeah, amen. Thank you, Apostle C. She said that's been good. This is good. Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you, Joy. Yeah. Wow. That's why they have a TV show called Snap. Yep. Indeed. Big facts. Snap.com. You're absolutely correct. This was awesome. When is the next session? I so needed this. Thank you. Listen, Joy, my intention is to come on every Monday at 10 o'clock. But like I explained to you all last week, some things happen that are totally out of my control. Sometimes when you have clients and they need to see you and it's an emergency, or you have someone that's on suicide watch, or you have to admit someone, it's out of my control. And so I would say, Joy, just watch my page. I'll let you know, hey, I'm coming on Monday at 10 o'clock. I'll try to do it the Wednesday prior to the next week or the Thursday prior to the next week to give you some time, to clear your schedule and join me. If you have questions, if you have something that you want to discuss, inbox me. Let me know, hey, I need more information on XYZ, or can we talk about XYZ? I think it's important. I don't know Monday, Joy, that's coming up. I'm pretty sure that I will be going on at 10 o'clock, but I don't know. I've been so codependent. Thank you for this. Good stuff, Mr. Lowry. Thank you for being transparent about that. Awesome. Yeah, I think it's important for us to realize that when we suffer from spirits of oppression, depression, spirits of rejection, what comes along with that. And again, what you allow in your broken season, when you get healed, you don't want it anymore. And the majority of the people who come to me with these issues of psychological abuse, their abuser hates it. And their abuser hates it because they know that their time is running out, and they won't have that control any longer. All right? All right. You guys have been absolutely awesome. Woohoo! Another successful session of Dr. M's Table, psychological abuse. Again, my name is Dr. Miranda Pearson, and you have viewed a great episode of Dr. M's Table. We'll try to bring it to you on Mondays at 10 a.m. And for those of you who are as excited about Mondays as I am, I pray that you would continue to have an awesome day. It's a beautiful day outside. I can't even tell it's fall anymore. I think I've given up. I love fall, but I can't tell that it's fall. But it is an absolutely gorgeous day. And you know what I've decided today? I'm taking the day off. I exhausted all weekend. I've had ministry. I shouldn't say I'm taking the day off. I'm not taking the day off. I'm teaching my son. I have one client today. So that's my that's my definition of taking the day off. Because usually I'm back to back to back to back until like 9 o'clock tonight. I have one client on this afternoon. I have my son to teach him. I love homeschooling him. We have had a successful run of homeschooling. I have one client, and then I have a meeting in Goldsboro that I'm really looking forward to because I love to drive. Driving is therapeutic for me. I like to think while I'm driving, and so I pray that you all have an awesome day. And for those of you who are joining me on the 21-day Daniel fast about breaking curses and getting rid of residue, you be sure to go to Body and Soul Detox. That's the page. Go ahead and invite yourselves or come on in, and I'll put you on that page. We meet every morning at 6 a.m. I do a mini lesson for about 20-25 minutes. Then we pray. This is every morning for the next 21 days. We're going to be doing that, okay? Daniel fast is primarily no meats, no man-made sweets, okay? No meats, no man-made sweets. That makes it easy. And then you can Google Daniel fast, and it tells you, what foods you can eat. But we really want to be mindful of, just killing our flesh. We want to be mindful of that, okay? If there's nothing else, I am going to let you good people go. All right? I pray that you have an awesome day. And for now, shalom. Shalom.